K5 Haulamania video, and this is the amazing month of August 2018. Wow. Hopefully between me and Mark we can entertain you with what we have found in the UK in the past month or so. And here we go, here's the first things out the bag. Two identical vehicles, but are they? It's number 18, number 12 from the Jurassic Park series. This is Matchbox. These were available in Smythes for £2.99. Ironically, the silver-backed cards that were on special in Asda last month, they were £3.50 a pop. Yeah, Smythes is not your bargain basement shop, unfortunately. You pay full price, but on the upside there, the staff are very helpful, and it all seems very genuine, and they do get some interesting stock in particular, I went in there on that day to actually go and buy up some Hot Wheels. I was looking for the Hot Wheels 50th anniversary Real Riders, which I thought I could find there. They have been seen in Wolverhampton, Birmingham area. I expect they're probably in the Smythe superstores up and down the country, apart from my one, which was in Northampton. But I will be going back to have another look, because Northampton are quite good at getting stuff in, so we'll see what occurs. Of course, this one is the identical copy to the silver one that you'll remember me showing last month. That one here. Identical in all respects, other than obviously the colourings are different, the numberings are different, and yeah, very interesting. Now, one of these vehicles, if I remember rightly, was driven by I don't know which one it was. I think it might have been the other one. 18 was driven by the guy, the IT guy, who was a bit of an informer and was like selling off stuff to buyers outside of the Jurassic Park, and got himself eaten by a velociraptor. So I'm guessing it's that one actually, because that one's got the roof on. Now this one here comes without the roof, and from what I can tell, that roof is staying put. It seems to be all part of the base. It's interesting construction, gives you an idea how they put it together. This one doesn't have the little light bar either on top of the protective, well, it's basically a windshield. But very nice to have the two of them to make up the set, the trio. So that's the old original Jurassic Park, and this is the return to the Jurassic Park when it all went wrong yet again. You'd have thought they'd have learnt from the first two efforts. But there you go. There's some Jurassic Park.
From London. I thought I would just do a little piece based on some recent purchases. I'm going to start really very much in order of when I got them. No particular dates, but we shall start with this one, which is a Real Toy Mazda RX-8 in a rather sorry state. The story behind this one is that I had done one, a commission for a custom on one of these, which ironically, when the person said, can you do one of these, an RX-8, does anybody make one, I said, I don't know, I don't think so. And then I found out that Real Toy did one, and to do this particular commission I had to go and purchase it online. So I bought one off eBay, which cost me probably altogether with postage about £5, and there was nothing wrong with it, and so I had to strip all that off, so it would be orange with a blue stripe that ran over the top, 2 blue stripes and detailing, and monoblock wheels. So looking very different to this. You can find the end results of this if you scroll through on my Instagram page, which is @CanamCustoms. So somewhat ironic that a few weeks later, after I'd actually finished the job off and sent it, I then found one of these in a charity shop looking rather sorry. It would have made quite a good donor model, and it cost me all of 50 pence. Anyway, I shall be doing something with that one at a later stage, so keep them peeled, as they say. This one I got in a charity shop again. I paid £1 for it, although it was in a bag of all sorts of junk that was going for £4, and I said I only want this one. So after much negotiation with the lady behind the till, who didn't want to do that, I managed to get it out of the bag, and I paid £1 for it. It's a Matchbox Pontiac Solstice from the early 2000s. I had one of these back in the day, and I decided to get rid of it for some unknown reason. Maybe because my collecting strand wasn't 1/64 at that time. I think it was very much 1/43 and 1/24 and 1/18, but size did not permit this to continue. So a rather nice model of an interesting car. It is actually based on the concept vehicle, not the production version of the Solstice, but a very competent little model from the early days of Mattel's ownership of Matchbox. Right, now this weekend I went down to Bath in the southwest of England to see my in-laws, to meet up there and with my wife, and I went around a few places, and I found some interesting pieces. Now that was, yes, it was in a collector's market, and I'd given up looking, and I found this in amongst a box of stuff as people were packing up to go. It is a Corgi Rover 2000 TC. TC stands for twin cam. Everything's going on here. We got dual effect headlamps, and we also have something called golden jacks. You may have come across this. Basically, these levers come up and allows you to take the wheel off, like so, and that stand allows you to stand the vehicle up. Interesting enough, when I got this, it was missing that wheel, and the wheel was in the spare wheel compartment at the back. There should be a cover that goes over that on a little sort of lever. That's come off. I don't think the dealer realised that you could take that out and fit that on, and suddenly it goes from being a model which was rather frustratingly incomplete to then, bring that lever down, complete. So all I need to do is get a new moulding of that from Steve Flowers Model Supplies, and we're away. I've done some rechroming on the bumpers with a Molotov pen, Molotov chrome pen. So again, if you want to see some reference pictures of when I first got this, they're on my Instagram page, Can-Am Customs. Rubber tyres on there, the original ones. Nice detailing on the wheels. The roof, sunroof, is based on a real vehicle that was produced, well, I think a conversion that Triple X did. Triple X were glass manufacturers in the motor industry, to convert your Rover T2000 into this sort of panoramic roof thing on the top. Made the vehicle rather hot, I should imagine, in the summer, and Corgi decided they would model it. So this original casting, I think the guts of this casting appeared in the early 60s as a Rover 2000, which had transo lights, which meant the moulding for the glasswork in the car. There were in fact some rods that came down, made the headlamps, and at the back, on the back window, there was a little magnifier. So light would go in, magnify, and go down through there and come out there. So if you shone a light through the back window, you would get the effect of the lights being on. Again, some of you may have seen that. You can read about it online. It's called Transo Light, just another one of the Corgi ideas. They were great ones for innovation. But this model was an improvement of in the late 60s. They then went and decided to ruin it by stopping this Golden Jacks option and putting their awful whiz wheels on, and so this thing came out in a metallic purple. Kept all this sunroof option, lost the spare wheel, and ran on these sort of other disco wheels, I refer to them. Sure, it was very nice. I think they blacked in the radiator as well, just to make it look like it was keeping up to speed with the updates on the Rover 2000. So interesting that, you know, now that sunroof would be the same moulding as everything else, but in fact it's an separate piece of amber coloured glass, which is based on the concept of Sundim, SUNDYM. Sundim, which was a type of sun-resistant glass, so you wouldn't get complete glare, you wouldn't get fried in the car. Anyway, too much detail, methinks. There's enough of that. And the last one from Bath was this one, which is cost me all of 50p. It was in a box of stuff that was mixed. It's a Renault 5. And this will date from the early 1970s, almost certainly. It's made by an Italian manufacturer, as you can see. Italy, Renault 5 TL, scale 148. And it is CGGC. I don't know what that stands for. If anybody knows, do let us know. Delightful little model. Really well detailed at the front. Look at that. But in other areas, somewhat let down. But it is purely a toy. Incredibly lightweight, but has lasted a long time. Anyway, that's that. Last one, sorry, this is the last one from Bath, and this was a Renault 4 van. They are clear, those headlamps, off the same bit of glass there. It's a fire, or pompier, to the French call it, attendance vehicle. In incredibly good condition. I'd imagine this is from the late 70s, early 80s. I'm sure Chris would love to have this. Maybe he will one day. There's that, nice suspension on it. Now I'm going to move on to the stuff that I picked up today in central London. I had to go and help my wife out. She works for a charity. While she was setting up and everything, I went to go and get myself a cup of tea in a market, which I rather thought, being in Covent Garden, which is quite a touristy area, would be out of the realms of affordable die-cast. But no, I found a dealer who was able to offer me all of the following models for £2. So this is your Matchbox Escorts RS2000. I haven't had one of these for a long time, so it's nice to have it. It's got all its original decals on it, the stickers rather. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, probably keep it as it is, and if another one rolls along at some point I will probably restore this one or something. Anyway, Memories of the Professionals, the TV series. Ray Doyle having one of these. Right colour for it as well, so there you go. Potential for customisation at some point to go with the Corgi Juniors Capri, if you remember that. Anyway, we'll move on to this one. This is the absolute joker, or the diamond in the crown, or whatever you're going to say, jewel in the crown. This is a Majorette Citroen CX, and I've seen pictures of this a few months ago and I thought this is fabulous, because the bit that I love most is the black radiator bit, which is the same moulding as the dashboard and steering wheel. Very clever. Works perfectly rather than the painted option. Really adds some class to it. It's missing a bit of paint. The chroming on the wheels is still there, surprisingly, but a really classy little model. Full suspension, obviously, is Majorette. Lovely, really nice, and I'm so pleased to get hold of this. £2, incredible. This, which is your Mercedes Benz, not Benz, but Benz ambulance, produced in the early 1960s. I think it was probably around about 64, this one. It has got an opening back, and there would be a little man inside there, but he's come away. Maybe Steve Flowers can help me with that. But I've got a number of different versions of this. I think I've got the Army one. I'm not 100% sure, but I certainly got the super fast upgrade and a further one on top of that, I think, actually. But yes, obviously these wheel arches had a lot of changes when that happened. So that's that.
Hopefully everybody out there can remember these lovely little cars that Kozi Takushi sent me in a mind-blowing parcel a few months back, or a month or so ago. And I was doing a series of photographs for these vehicles, which was loosely based on the actual original cartoon. And during the cartoon chase scene, there's a situation where the cars are run off the road by a bus, and I thought I'd try and see if I could find a bus that matched them in scale. So it took me a few I suppose about a month to find something, and I came up with this. Now, this didn't actually cost me an awful lot of money. I think it cost me £1 in the end, which is brilliant, because I had been looking at some vehicles that were ranging up to £10 and up. Very interesting piece this is, actually. I'm not 100% sure who makes it exactly. As you can see on the base there, it's made by, it says Leaf, care of Malta, Alexandro. So it's kind of it's like a tourist piece. It says the Malta bus. It says Malta bus on the side there. Pay as you enter. What struck me about it was it being a bus. It had a few criteria. It needed to have this kind of front end on it, the sort of classic 1930s and 40s style front end. It's very reminiscent of an old Bedford bus, and of course it needed lots of seats and some bulk. I believe it's probably had a door at some point in its life, but that really is irrelevant. Really, it's just a random little old bus, and it's only really needed for a few photographs that I need to complete the scene. So if you can imagine, here's the bus in question. Cars, I mean, the bus looks enormous, but you know, buses are big. And I'll just check this out here. So I'll just whip off one of the men. There's the door. There's the little man. It's actually, if anything, probably a little bit small, but in my mind, that's about the right size. So this bus probably must be around about 155 scale, around about that. So yeah, very unusual piece. Very unusual to find it literally down the road from me in my favourite little toy shop. And there you go. This is perfect. It's a little bit bedraggled, which is exactly right. New Hot Wheels. I have been looking. There was some new Hot Wheels turned up at my Asda store in Kettering, where I go sometimes, and I'd missed out on, well, the new releases that I was after. There's an Audi out there that everybody's showing now on Instagram. A very nice piece in red. But I did manage to pick these up. I found these ones actually in Morrison's when I was looking to see if they had any new majorettes, which they did, but I think they're the majorettes that I've seen umpteen times before. I'm kind of waiting on some new majorettes to show up in the UK. So till then, let's check out this new Dodge. It's not new to everybody, so I'm not going to spend too much time wafting around with it. It's been out for quite some time. You can see Matchbox Hot Wheels there. Interesting wheels on that one. Nice and slick. Plastic base. Some kind of Dodge D100. Wow. And this is new to me, new to you. Oh, it's got some speed. I do like those wheels though. They are good for speed if you want to go down the track. It's a good solid piece, that. Interesting, the tampo has overspilt there on the side, but it looks really effective. Looks like oil or something slicked down the side of that side, because this side here, it's all pretty tame and as it should be. Nice tampos there for Tusky. Champion Mopar, of course it's Dodge. Very nice. And the other piece that I picked up is this one here, is the Tesla Energy Model 6. For some reason everyone's raging about this one on Instagram. It's not the first release of this car, but it is the first time it's actually sported the Tesla logos down the side. Kind of makes it quite nice. It's got good tail lamps as well. Of course, the old model, the X is the one with the lifting, has the interesting doors at the back there. Normal doors at the front, as you can see there, it sort of opens up and then goes click, click, click and up. pushes all up and neatly out the way for all electrical and wonderful. And this car has actually now become one of the most, in real life, highly sought after cars, actually outshining the Citroen DS 21 or 19 when it was released in 1954. Was the record holder for the most amount of pre-sales cars sold in the first 15 minutes. So there you go. This is only just beat it after 50 years. Wow. Yep, there we go. Well, of course, I was down at my toy shop, and as I do, I check out all the old stuff they've got kicking around in there, and I came across this one. It's an old Johnny Lightning, as you can see. It's a 1966 Type 2 pickup, which I believe has just been re-released into the R2 lineup in lots of various shades of colour. They've all been released into the Gold series, which feature real riders and stuff. So this is quite an old piece from, I think it's 2002. Let's have a look on the back. Most of this stuff I pick up, yeah, there we go. It's from 2002. So most of the stuff I pick up is roughly from around about that time period. It seems to have hit the UK around about then, 1998 to 2002. You can see there's lots of Volkswagens available. Obviously there was a Volkswagen series that came out there. A lot of these I think a lot of those castings you can now pick up again as it goes. But we have here a very interesting little old Johnny Lightning pickup vehicle. As you can see, it's very basic, nice and simple, and it has those little plastic wheels that was a feature of the models back then. When I think this is a Playing Mantis vehicle. When Playing Mantis took over, they kept hold of some of the plastic wheels before they kind of upgraded the castings and put on the rubber wheels. There we go.
By magic, I'm back again. Now, the other Covent Garden purchase, a Matchbox Transit flatbed in very good condition. I have recently done a restore on one of these and put it on some rather nice wheels. So this is the one that I've done. This actually has had a full respray, strip and respray, and that orange, very, very close. Incredible. Nice finish as well, straight out of the can. So a coat of white primer, as you might be able to see from the wheel. It's not been fixed down properly. I've done the base in a white gloss, and these wheels are M2 wheels. M2 are a American brand. Should get in some better focusing on this. Where's your focusing? Anyway, never mind, it's because it's white, I suppose. But anyway, bit of a crack there on the windscreen. But I'm not going to talk too much about that one because it's not really finished. But as you can see, a little bit of a difference. So there's those two. Last purchase from Covent Garden today was this majorette BMW, as they call it, Turbo or Turbo BMW. Well, this is in fact actually, if memory serves me right, the BMW M1 supercar from the late 70s and early 80s. It was actually based on a concept, a lot of the workings, so the ideas behind it, which was in fact this BMW. I think I don't know whether it was called a Turbo, but it was, as I said, a concept, a one-off concept. It still exists somewhere. This has got opening gull-wing doors. Of course, the production version M1 didn't have gull-wing doors. You had standard doors, to my memory. But you can see the basics are here with the way that it's styled. Sorry about the focusing. It's normally pretty good. Let's just try. That's better. There you go. So interesting little details on there. We've got a rally transfer God knows why. When this is a concept vehicle, but it's majorette getting the most out of the toy. As you can see, we've got BMW badges here, which if you look at the M1, same thing happened with that. So they did lift things off one and put it onto the other. But a nice little model. I never would have expected to have found that. Whilst I've still got the focusing on, let's just go back to this Transit. There's the wheels. So they were originally black, took the tyres off and sprayed them, and you get that. Sorry, that was a little distraction whilst I had the focusing working. And this is not from any of the recent purchases. I actually got this off eBay. I told Chris about this. I was reading something, I think on I forget what it was. Anyway, it was referring to this particular car and derivations of it. It is of course the Chrysler Simca 1308, but in the UK and some other territories it was the Chrysler Alpine. This together with the Renault 5, not this one, there they are. They were pioneers of plastic bumpers, the real cars. So they had a plastic bumper, both of them using a grey colour. I don't know why they chose that, probably because they thought grey was as close to chrome. But they were pioneers of plastic bumpers, these two cars. This car came out in what, 72, this came out in 75, both French content, although, and this is probably why I bought this, I found out that the design work on this particular real car, the Alpine or Simca 1308, was done by the team at Ryton in the Midlands of the United Kingdom. Their chief designer, Mr. Roy Axe, A-X-E, okay, and his team designed this. So it was actually a British design. Yes, we could go over the history of all of this, but basically Chrysler took over two concerns. They took over Simca in France, and they took over a group called Rootes, R-O-O-T-E-S, and Rootes was a big group that had collected together lots of old British names like Humber. But basically, it was an interesting car. I certainly remember the Chrysler Alpine. I remember people buying them, seeing them on the road, and it was very much a car ahead of its time in terms of its concept with having a hatchback. At mid-70s it was quite a thing, certainly for a family car. In the back, nice level of detailing. We have got some boots, we have got a bag, looks like a hunting, shooting, fishing bag, a cine camera, a suitcase with some gloves on, and I don't quite know what that is. I have no idea what that other item is. Someone will know. Oh, it's binoculars. So clearly Majorette felt that this was not your average family car, but it was a sort of family car for people who like to go and have adventurous weekends out into the countryside. So, you know, hunting, shooting and fishing and staying in a hotel, and or maybe it's a secret agent with their binoculars, who knows. It's interesting stuff, but I do love Majorettes. I know Chris does, Mr. Count 5, but they did some wonderful models that other people didn't do. These three being particularly good examples. So thank you to the dealer in Covent Garden who offered such a reasonable price for these models, and yes, I hope I haven't waffled on too much. If I do, it is only because I want to let you know what I know, but you can find out because you'll use the internet. Anyway, goodbye.
Well, I had to go back to B&M. I had to go back to go and see if I could score a helicopter. Basically, I went down to B&M to pick up some stuff for my roof, and while I was there, I squeezed in a weenie purchase. It took me ages to find them actually in the shop. They keep moving them around, so if you are on the look for these down B&M, you really have to look hard. And they're not in obvious places. They're not with the Batman stuff. They're not with. They're just out there somewhere in the shop. So keep your eyes peeled if you see them. They're a bargain at £2.99 each, which I think is very, very fair for such high quality stuff. So let's have a look. Oh, it's all been opened up. It's the first time I've actually opened it, to be fair. Right, here we go. Wow. This is great high quality stuff here from Mattel. Oh, that opens up nicely in that clamshell. Much easier than the last couple of vehicles to release. Oh, it's got some good weight to it as well. Straight up there, plastic base. Nice. It's got almost like pneumatic wheels to it. And like hollow. Wow, that's cool. This is known as the Tumbler, I believe, from the film The Dark Knight. Wow. Now the back ones are pretty solid, but I'm guessing they're individual dualies by the looks of it. Wow, it's all screwed together as well. Has it got an interior? No opening parts or moving features on this one though, unfortunately. But my word, it does look good. Looks pretty mean. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm loving that. Great detailing. Of course, these are all made in China for Hot Wheels. It's the first time I've seen screws in the bottom of a Hot Wheel before. So there you go, it's a first for everything. Loving them tyres. Yeah, I just, that's it. Holy Jokermobiles! It's the Joker, and the Joker's now got a friend, and it's not just any old friend. I think that's the Joker's girlfriend. It's Harley Quinn. Suicide Squad mode. Well, yeah, not the ideal mode for me. I would prefer the original, actual Joker. Well, she's like dressed like a Harlequin. Oh, that's her name, isn't it? Harley Quinn. As you can see there, at the back of this set, there's loads of stuff on there. I think they do a... Let's have a look. Now, why don't they do the Penguin? Really? If they did the Penguin, I would buy the Penguins. But there you go. There's Harley Quinn. She's coming out. These are on, well, have been on special offer in Tesco's. My guess is that Tesco's are clearing the shelves of these now. They tend to get rid of stuff. When they get rid of stuff, they just sell it off cheap. These were retailing at the best part of £2 a pop. Fully die-cast figures. I picked this one up for £1 or thereabouts. And there she is, Harley Quinn, all dressed in a rather revealing costume. You can see there's some remnants of her Harlequin days there with that kind of checkerboard pattern on the costume. Nice details on the face. And she's just really there to give Batman a bop. Bop! Ugh. Oh, he's not taking it. But anyway, there she is. She's going to join the Joker over here with the Joker. I'm going to quickly finish this video up now with a look at some stuff that I got off of the Bay of E. First up is this piece. It's a No Rev DS19 1959. This is one of those vehicles that you can buy from the showroom, Citroen showroom. You'll see there's lots of French writing on the back. Very good indeed. Got this from an English seller. And I also purchased this piece. Oh yes, the long-awaited DS21. Or was it DS23? Let's have a look at the back there. It says on there, yeah, DS23 Palace. Palace, of course, came out in the 1960s, 1966 or thereabouts. And basically had a variation on the headlamps and some other body panels. We're going to open these up and give them a spin on the old turntable. Right, a quick whiz around the base gives us a plastic base with as much detail, or in fact more detail than No Rev normally supply me with. Has little rubber wheels and some very nicely moulded in wheels. So rubber tyres, little plastic wheels, fully die-cast body, and probably one of the nicest interiors I've ever seen. If you can just catch a glimpse of that in there. See, it's got all the door cards in there, all in sumptuous, I think they used velour back in the day. And these cars are renowned for their ultimate luxury status. Not the biggest engine in the world, but it was a reliable little engine nonetheless, and performed very well at cornering and stuff and what have you. An interesting feature about all these Citroen DS is this: if you notice, the rear wheels are narrower than the front wheels, and this actually produces a tighter turning circle, so it makes them very, very good at cornering. Very useful in the busy city. So let's just spin that around on the turntable and admire some of the features. So let's give it a spin. Lots of nice little features there from this 59er. Of course, it's got the single headlamps up front there. A very pointy little nose on there. And of course, this is the car famous for being the car of choice for General de Gaulle. It's very famously, he was hunted down by an assassin. There's a film about it, Day of the Jackal. And in the process of them hunting him down, they shot all the tyres out of the car, and it was still able to motor along and escape from death. And so General de Gaulle always used one of these cars to travel around in as a consequence for him and his family, as he found it to be the safest, most comfortable way to do so. That was the car that saved the day, the DS19. It's got some beautiful details on it. I mean, just look at that lovely, it's so well done. The rear lamps on there and the little chevrons. Very, very cool. Of course, they wanted to put a bigger engine in this car. They wanted to make it faster, but they just didn't have the technology to do so when it came out. This car actually, when it was first put out there as a concept car, it gained 12,000 buys in the first 15 minutes of its unveiling, and has only really recently been beaten by the Tesla Model X, very recently. So it held that record for a very, very long time. Absolutely glorious. Probably and voted as one of the best looking cars of the 20th century. Probably only surpassed by the Palace version. Now I haven't been able to work out why it's called a Palace. Palace is palace, I guess, in French, but DS is already well known as French pronunciation for the word goddess, and in France this car is known as the Goddess. So we're going round the car now. It's got some beautiful lines on here. These lines sculpted or resculpted in 1966, and the car was actually, this car saw production right through to 1975. A lot of rally success. It was used by various as a utility vehicle. We've already seen that it was an estate version. The estate version was converted to an ambulance, etc., etc. As far as models go, this one again has lots and lots of lovely sculptured detail, lots of really good detailed tampos on there. You notice it's those revolutionary at the time, those really high brake lights up there on the top of the roof at the rear. As you can see, the interior in this one is just plain black, but the paint is sumptuous, and those lovely little headlamps on the front there, well, big headlamps. Of course, this car's famous for its rotating headlamps. You can actually see round corners, a feature that was fixed when it moved to America because of regulations to the law there. Of course, in the course of its life, this car was produced, I think it was over 1.5 million examples of this car out there in the world. And I think we're going to finish up now with a little side-by-side comparison of the two cars together, so you get a really good idea of the evolution of this car. You can see, look, some of the edges are really squared off at the back there. So every single panel from the Palace version, from the original 59er, have been changed. Even the B pillars and the C pillars, all different. One feature that they seem to have kept is the shape of the windscreen. And the beauty of these no-rev models is their attention to detail, and it is absolutely gorgeous, and especially in this scale, which I believe is around about 156 scale, a little bit bigger than the 164s. But my word, they've used every millimetre of the detailing that you can possibly want to see on a little car. And they've squeezed it all on here and finished it, both of them really, in absolutely beautiful paintwork. Hydro-pneumatic suspension, yes. So many features on these cars when they came out. So many features were revolutionary and brand new for the times. And there we go. This is K5 saying thank you so much to Mark Ravon for your brilliant sections. Hope this video hasn't been too long for you all, because this is a long one. This is going to be a summer special. Not sure what August is going to bring yet, because I've got to save my money. So there's more videos to come though. There is more, that's for sure. And I'm going to leave you with that little teaser and say ta-ta for now, and thanks for watching everybody.